Welcome to A Matter of Action. I'm Wayne Morrow, and along with me today I have Tim Marden, our Development Officer for the John Birch Society. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, great to be here, Wayne. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Tim and I have known each other for a few years, and he's moved to different kinds of operations within the organization, but now he's a development officer. And I wanted to ask him some questions about what he has seen out in the field. He covers at least half the United States. But before we do that is, how did you find the John Birch Society? And then maybe tell us your story, and that'll kind of like move itself into the coordinator role that we're in, and now as a development officer.
Sure. Well, I get this question a lot, and I really tell people, hey, I got involved because in the run-up to the Obama election, I just didn't see a clear path for a one-time senator from a little state like Illinois to possibly vault themselves into the White House. So that just set me on a path of looking for some answers, and I stumbled across the Birch Society online, filled out an inquiry, and the field coordinator called me the next day. As divine intervention would have it, Keith Dunn actually only lived about 3 or 4 miles down the road. So we met at a local deli, and he just really opened my eyes about just conspiracy in general, and just started really putting pieces together for me. And that just kind of set me off on a different tangent in my life. I've been a coordinator, like you said, and now I'm in a development role.
Right. Hey, you should maybe share that experience when you were in Gainesville area, and still are in that area, how you actually changed the congressman from a liberal Democrat to a conservative congressman. I tell that story a lot. People think it's impossible. So maybe you want to tell that story before we move on to your current role as a development officer.
Well, in the run-up to the Tea Party 2010 sort of, jump, I suppose, we had a local veterinarian, Ted Yoho, who threw his hat in the ring, and he overthrew in the primary a 20-year incumbent who was actually also a Republican from the Ocala area, but just didn't see the momentum coming from liberty fighters and patriots like us. I wasn't really super involved in that campaign, but I sure have inserted myself a lot since then to just try to keep him as constitutional as possible. And I looked ahead in the next issue of the New American, where we have a Freedom Index coming out. Right. And he's actually the best in the state right now.
Wow.
So I think that's a real feather in our cap for the local area.
Yeah. And I see that lots of momentum in that area for Central Florida, and it really paid off. So, and that's kind of a story I'm sure that you carry through when you go through the current role you have, development officer. Tell us what happens. How does it work? So maybe you want to share some of your stories that you've seen as you travel the U.S. and some of the things that some of the members that watch this need to hear.
Well, like you said, I do cover pretty much the eastern United States. Just in the last month and a half, I've been in Boston, Cleveland twice, Chattanooga, Northwest Florida, in the Pensacola area. I've been in an upstate of South Carolina. And I'm gravitated and pulled towards places that have activity. Yeah. What I do as a development officer is I come into the area and I really kind of start selecting and picking out folks who are interested in potentially donating to the Birch Society. Maybe they want to advertise in one of our various platforms, whether that's Freedom Project, the New American Online, or the print magazine. Mm-hmm. But I also meet with some members who are interested in putting the Birch Society in their will. And I think the key component here is really the membership. They start that path. It's rare that I could come across somebody who wants to write a $10,000 check or a $50,000 check to the society without a little backstory from the membership. Mm-hmm. So the member is really key in starting that process. The New American is probably the best step in doing that. And fortunately, this time of year, we have a great gift subscription promotion that is going to be going on through the rest of the year. And I think that is one thing that the membership really wants to take advantage of. So when the members are out doing the birching activities, what I really want them to focus on are folks who kind of fit that mold. And I want you to qualify those those prospects into whether they could maybe step up and do a continuing support club. Maybe they own a business and could step up and do a New American online subscription, or jump to a print subscription advertising.
Yeah.
And it's really that bird dog approach that the members kind of have that gets filtered over to me to try to come in and really, really bring it home for the person, because those people that are typically in this, in this arena are not folks who are really going to be out doing a lot of Birch activities. It's kind of like church, time, talent, or treasure. Most of these people really just have the treasure that they can put into the fight,
right.
And we're happy to show them how they can best utilize their capital. And as my counterpart in the West Coast, John Selk, says, these people can use their business to save their business, because right. Folks like you and I know that if the socialists take over, the churches are gone, a lot of the businesses are gone. And when you start talking those sorts of really key components to these people, that starts to really set off some alarm bells for them.
Right. Yeah. So one of the key things that the coordinators are doing is that they're starting business chapters. That falls right into what you just said.
Right.
And I know that you've got a chance to speak to someone in the South and the Midwest. And so what's the kind of the pulse of some of the folks in the business chapters you spoke to? Maybe you don't even know who the Birch Society is.
Well, I've been working a lot with Matt Shea, a representative out of Washington, who's fantastic. And we've gone into Pensacola, we've gone into Cleveland and Spartanburg, and we started meeting with small groups of kind of the 20 percenters in a community who are actually doing something. Yep. And in particular in Cleveland, we went back into Cleveland and we actually got a room together of about 120 people. We signed up several members right there on the spot. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of the domino effect that really kind of takes place as an offshoot of some of these business chapters. And I don't want folks to get so wrapped up in, they've got to know everything to do anything. Right. If you can just start a little trickle, every flood starts with a raindrop. So just get one key person, right, and you can just kind of build on that. But recognize that it's a process, and recognize that it's not an overnight success, right, that you really got to invest some time and to nurture this relationship. Right. And that's a lot of what I do and what I capitalize on when I get back into an area from leads that the membership has fed to our development team.
Okay. One of the things I want to ask, a few minutes we have left, is what is maybe one of the dominant fears or concerns of maybe some of the business folks that you meet along the way?
Well, as just a matter of agenda, I've really been harping on the USMCA. A few weeks ago, I was in Pittsburgh. I spoke to their Rotary Club. And what I've really tried to impress on these folks, and that does seem to ring a bell with them, is, look, a lot of these businesses, they work with city government, county, maybe a few work even with the state or federal. Yep. But I try to paint a picture to them of, hey, what will international government look like to you? And then I kind of go into a little bit of the Free Trade Commission, Chapter 30 of the USMCA. Right. And you really have to paint that picture to get them to actually move. One thing that I harp on a lot is whether or not we are going to be consumers of information or users of information, and whether we're going to be problem solvers or problem identifiers. Right. And you really have to move the ball down the field. You really have to treat every interaction as if it's the last chance you're going to get to maybe talk with these people. So impressing on them, hey, if this international layer of government is put over top of us with the USMCA, right, you're going to have some real problems. And here's what I think will be a remedy or a solution for you. Sure. And then I just kind of slow walk them through some of the options that we have at the Birch Society. Right.
That's great. Yeah, that's what I think people realize when you do speak to them. They're totally unaware. Hey, Tim, thanks so much. I know our time was short, and appreciate the good work you do out there, and good message to the members out there to identify those opinion leaders out in the field or in their neighborhoods. And remember, your part matters. And until next time, keep birching. You want to call the jbs.org on our website or the newamerican.com, or you can call 800-527-8721. Again, Tim, thanks so much. And until next time, keep birching.